audio dialogue is happening.
Dialogo. It's happening. I should really have a list before we start, shouldn't I?
Probably. Good idea.
Okay, I have.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
Cool.
Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. It's called Culture Bucket. Two friends just made a podcast. Two good friends just made a podcast. Two friends just made a podcast. Culture Bucket, Georgia and Alex.
Hi, welcome everyone to episode 22 of Culture Bucket. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going evil. We're getting villainous. We are going to be talking about villains from the films today. Top 5 villains. A nice and simple one. Should be fun. I'm your host, George, and with me is your equally important, if not more important host, Alex. How you doing, Alex?
Hi, George. I'm okay. Hi, everyone.
They can't reply.
But you can
You
reply.
really said that as if you expected somebody to say something back.
No, you started it. You started the episode while I was trying to say something, and you just rudely interrupted me. But it's fine. It's fine. You know, that's how things go. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hi, George. Hi, everyone. How are you, George?
I'm great.
Fantastic. I'm liking your beard. It's getting bigger, bushier.
Thanks.
Nicer.
Yeah, thank you. I need to trim it soon, but here it is.
Great.
Yep, rock it. I'm rocking it. So as I said up top, we're gonna do. I was so intent on disrupting you that I didn't even properly introduce the episode. We are going to be talking about our favourite villains that have shocked us throughout the years. Our favourites, yeah.
It's very difficult not going. We were discussing before starting, not going with the obvious good movie villain. But I think if you're a good movie villain, you'll always be a good movie villain.
Yeah, I've gone a bit more iconic than I usually go with my list. Predominantly recognisable names from films that people will definitely have heard of. So it's hard not to. It's hard to, like, those iconic performances of villains are tough to put aside, if you see what I mean. You kind of have to accept that they're incredible.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's just how it is. But before we get into our lists, we're going to have to do our culture catch-up.
This is culture catch-up time. This is where we talk about what we've watched, what we've read, what we've listened to, and probably some other stuff. Culture catch-up time.
You're going to start this week, so tell me all about your week or so in culture.
Okay, so this week I'm going to start with TV. RuPaul's Drag Race has started again, which is very, very exciting. But this time, in contemporary, there is RuPaul's Drag Race USA and RuPaul's Drag Race UK. So it's just episode after episode after episode. It's amazing. Like always, it's
so. What is
beautiful.
RuPaul judging it in America and then hopping on a plane and judging it in the UK, and then what's going on?
Well, so well, I think they recorded RuPaul's Drag Race UK a while ago, maybe during the summer when the pandemic wasn't as bad as it is now.
Right, okay.
A little bit before, because they all seem to be close, and there's no, now in television there are all these measures to keep everybody safe, so you have screens, distancing. So in RuPaul's Drag Race US, there's all of that, and so the judges have panels beside them when they judge, and they have distancing, but in the UK they don't. So I think maybe that was recorded before. Yeah. But it's really, really good.
Interesting.
As always, very exciting. There's always the tea and all drama, but like I said, they are kind of concentrating more on of making it about being together and being a force, and rather than people hating each other, because that's what made television. It was more like how people can unite. And this year in RuPaul's Drag Race US, there is a transgender female to male participant. So he uses pronouns he when he's not in drag, and she when she's in drag. So it's pretty cool actually, because it kind of opens the doors to like everybody, like anybody can do drag, and it's pretty cool. And
that is cool, because hasn't RuPaul been criticised in the past for comments on transgender?
Absolutely, but I
the
think they've been taken out of context. And I think a lot of times now things are taken out of context, because he was saying that the media was saying that he said that you couldn't be a transgender drag person. I don't know what he said about the transgender community, but I don't think he's against it. So, because he's always had contestants, and it's drag is all about being different and being creative. So it doesn't matter what gender you are. So, and the good thing about RuPaul's Drag Race UK is they're two gender non-binary humans, which is really good, because they were talking about it. And I think the more you are open to these things, the more people start accepting, and they can understand what is non-binary, what is transgender, what is this, what is that. And that's quite nice. I think these programs open to, because I didn't, I'm always learning, and I like to know things, because there's so much to learn about people, because we're so different, and it's pretty cool.
Good.
Yes, so please watch RuPaul's Drag Race USA and UK. They're fun, good entertainment for an hour or so. And then another TV kind of thing, I got on the bandwagon like you asked me to, and I watched the WandaVision.
Ooh,
all
baby.
of the episodes, and I just half an hour ago I finished the last one, and wow, that's a very exciting show, isn't it?
It's pretty good, right?
Like, it's amazing how the first episode you're not really sure where it's gonna go. It's like, well, then the more that you watch the episodes, the more you start going, okay, I think maybe. And then it's just like little bits, and then the last episode blew my mind. It's
and episode
so good.
4 as well, right? Because the last episode that you're referring to is episode 5.
Yeah. So episode 4 was so
crazy.
good.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And you go, oh no, what is this? Is it? Because you don't think it's gonna be totally interlinked with. But I don't know why I didn't think that, because it's the Marvel universe.
Because it almost tricks you by being so self-contained for those first 3 episodes. You almost forget that it's MCU. And episode 4
is so
pulls
MCU.
in so much stuff. Yeah,
So
but then
MCU.
do you understand? Did you not understand? But are you aware of the implications of the end of episode 5 and what that might mean?
In what sense?
In the sense of spoilers for up to episode 5 of WandaVision, if you're listening and you haven't caught up to that point yet.
Yeah.
Going to talk
then
about
we'll
a
let
pretty
you
big
know
spoiler.
when to go.
Yeah. So skip ahead. Look in the show notes where to skip ahead to. Obviously, at the end of episode 5, the doorbell rings, and it is Piotr.
Pietro.
How do you pronounce it?
Pietro.
Pietro. Wanda's brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
But not played by the actor who played him in. Not played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Not played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played him in Age of Ultron.
I was a bit confused about that. I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, played by Evan Peters, who has played Quicksilver before. Do you know where he's played Quicksilver before?
No.
In the Fox X-Men movies. He played Quicksilver in X-Men Days of Future Past. You know, the Hugh Jackman, like those X-Men movies?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah,
because obviously Disney now, No, he's in Days of Future Past. He's in like some of the more recent ones that aren't very good, but he's pretty good. There's a brilliant scene in Days of Future Past where he runs around this room in slow motion. Anyway, so they've brought in Quicksilver, but played by Evan Peters from Days of Future Past, which is now obviously owned by Disney. So they're sort of starting to open the door to maybe the idea that some of the actors and characters from those Fox movies can start turning up in the MCU as well. Which is because obviously canonically in the comics, Wanda's dad is Magneto.
Okay, yeah.
And now, it probably won't happen, but it wouldn't. Now they've made it so that theoretically Ian McKellen could turn up by the end of this series as Magneto. Do you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And so like the next Doctor Strange.
I didn't even think about that. I was just I was just thinking about all the things that. Wow, that's pretty cool.
So the next Doctor Strange movie is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Wanda's going to be in that. So the big kind of rumor is that that's going to start looking at bringing together all the other Marvel live action things under the MCU banner. And then the next Spider-Man 3 that's coming out is going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and like a load of people from those old Spider-Man movies in it. So this is like the first little hint that they're going to start getting really weird with the MCU, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Like WandaVision is pretty weird, like amazingly weird. What mind thinks about that, and how like every little episode just adds a little bit more to understanding what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like I was watching it thinking it was very like Twin Peaksy inspired, because I think there's definitely like a Twin Peaks lineage to it. And then my brother messaged me and was like, "I think the people that made WandaVision," and I don't know if it was made long enough ago that this can't be true, but my brother said he felt like there's a lot of Watchmen influence in it, that TV show, and I can kind of see that as well.
Yeah,
so,
maybe. Yeah.
Just in terms of having the courage to go really strange and have the faith in your audience so that they'll follow along until it makes sense. Kind of thing.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Olsen is such an amazing actress.
Yes. Yeah, she's always been one of the best actors in the MCU. It's good that they're giving her the chance to branch out.
Like she changes accent, she changes like it's just like because she has to, because the series goes throughout, it's like a TV series throughout the years, and I was just I was in awe of her. She's so good. Like,
yeah,
amazing.
The scene in the latest episode where it reveals that she actually does know what's going on because she walks outside of the hex, as they start calling it, with that drone, and she's in her kind of MCU costume.
I had assumed that she'd known for a while, like before, a few episodes before.
Well, there's the bit where she gets rid of, where she talks about her brother and she flings Monica. Is it Monica Rambeau out of the hex and stuff? But it's the first. But like her walking out of the hex is like a real big like.
Yeah. But every time she says no, like that, every time there's like, oh, she knows something. There's something going on here.
Yeah. But but like the true extent of how much she knows seems to become clear in that moment. It's just so cool. She's in her MCU costume, and the bit where she makes the men all point their guns at the guy in charge is. A couple of people have pointed out is really reminiscent of Magneto doing a similar thing in like quite a few of the X-Men movies. So again, like strong Magneto vibes coming in. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm so excited about WandaVision.
Yeah. I'm glad because I just like I wasn't ready for more, but it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. And so that's my TV, kind of like my it's not really TV. What would you call it now? Because you don't watch these things on TV anymore. It's just on streaming services.
Yeah, I know. I feel like people still call it
TV,
TV, but yeah, it's sort of all blended together now. Because it's got WandaVision's got the budget and the look of a film, really. But then it's structured like a TV show. It's crazy.
But I just every episode gets longer and longer. And like it was the first episode was 20 minutes, and then it gets longer and longer, and then the last one, because the more it gets into the Marvel universe, the longer it gets and the more like cinematic it gets. It's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah. The final episode might just be a full-on movie. Who knows where it's going to go?
Oh, we don't know. And that's the thing. They're like off the chain. Like they're doing whatever they want. They're so. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Before we move on, what do you think of them bringing back the FBI agent from Ant-Man, played by Randall Park?
Cool. I like him.
He's pretty funny, right? And Kat
Yeah,
Dennings,
yeah.
I can't remember her character's name, but Kat Dennings from the Thor movies comes back
Yeah.
as the astrophysicist. Yeah.
Yeah,
just a
I like
cool
that
little
duo.
things.
They work really well together because they're pretty
They do.
quirky and funny and yeah. No, it's cool. Yeah. It adds the fun that Marvel has, they're fun characters. Yeah.
Agreed.
Um
Cool.
Okay, so that's it for TV. I went back memory lane and I watched Hot Fuzz.
Oh.
That's why when we were texting before, it was like yarp, narp.
All right, yeah.
I forgot how good it is. It's a really good film.
It is a brilliant film.
So it's a 2007 film directed by Edgar Wright and written also by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. And it has Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Martin Freeman, etc., in their cast. If everybody's watched Hot Fuzz, but if somebody any of our listeners haven't watched it, it's about this policeman that is too good, and policeman in London, and he's too good, so he gets transferred to the countryside as a sergeant. Well, he doesn't get. He gets promoted and then transferred to the countryside as a sergeant because he's too good in London and is showing everybody up.
Yeah.
And he moves to this. He moves to this village called Sanford, and he's paired up with Nick Frost's character, which I think is called Danny. Yeah?
Danny
Butterman. Yes.
Yeah,
and-
Danny Butterman.
And everything seems like normal, but then a killing spree starts, and it just becomes weirder and weirder. And yeah, I love that film. I forgot how gory it was. I don't know why. I forgot that it's pretty gory. And I just loved how they just could do anything. They just went really rogue, didn't they? They did pretty much whatever they wanted to do with kind of Point and Break references and Bad Boys. Bad Boys. I just, it's so funny. And I didn't realize that Adam Buxton is in it.
Yeah. He plays the reporter, doesn't he?
Yeah, like I didn't know Adam Buxton looked like that without a beard. Because I only know Adam Buxton from his podcast. I know you know him from other things, but I only listen to his podcast. I think through you. Is it possible?
Probably.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize that he was in, and also because in one of the episodes I've listened recently, he was talking about he was at Simon Pegg's birthday party. It's like, how does he know Simon Pegg? And then I watched Hot Fuzz. Like, that's how I know Simon Pegg.
Yeah, well, I think he's known him for longer than that, but yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I didn't realize they knew each other. But yeah, it's a really cool film, and
because he's actually he's in Shaun of the Dead as well, I think.
Is he?
But like, I think he plays a zombie. I know Joe definitely plays a zombie in Shaun of the Dead. I think they both do.
Okay.
But yeah, they know. I think they knew Edgar Wright. Anyway, sorry, this isn't important. But yeah,
no, but it's fine. It's fine. It's just I don't know. I guess that's part of the British culture that I didn't really have because I didn't really know who Adam Buxton was because I wasn't raised in England.
I mean, you'd have to be raised in England and also be a weird obsessive about British comedy to know these things. So yeah,
yeah, which you are.
It's not necessarily common knowledge.
Okay.
But if you've watched all of the special features on the Shaun of the Dead DVD, you'll know that Adam Buxton or Joe Cornish or both of them were in it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love them too. Those two together. I think they're
yeah,
they're great. Like I think my favorite Adam Buxton episodes are the Christmas specials when him and Joe just go rogue and funny. I don't know. They're just hilarious. Good film. Really good to watch it again. And then I watched a French film called, I'm not sure, I think it's called The Intouchables.
Oh, is this the
But
the
then-
man, the paraplegic man?
Yeah. But I
I
don't
think
know.
it is
On
called The
IMDb it
Intouchable.
says Untouchable. On the thing it says The Intouchables. But I think it must be Untouchable. Maybe The Intouchables. I don't know. One of the two. And it's a 2011 film about starring two like people that I don't know. Francois Cluzet, the main character, who's a paraplegic, and Omar Sy, who plays his carer. Omar Sy, actually, he's in a Netflix.
Is he the Lupin guy?
Yeah, in the Lupin.
Ah,
Yes,
interesting.
I really want to watch it. Apparently, it's really, really good. Yeah,
Francois Cluzet is also in one of my favourite thrillers of all time. So
is
two,
he?
yeah. Film called Tell No One. Incredible movie.
Oh, I found him really good in this film. I think he's a really good actor.
Yeah, he
I want
is.
to watch more French films now. I don't know. I'm getting into them. But yeah,
Nice.
it's about Philippe, who's a quadriplegic millionaire. And it starts with him interviewing candidates to look after him. And he decides to hire the most unlikely of candidates that was only there to get a signature for his job seekers allowance, I think. I think that's what it is.
The French equivalent to that, yeah.
Yeah, the French equivalent of job seekers. Yeah, and so it's the story of how so it's them him helping Driss the carer helping Philippe having like a better fun life. They start smoking weed together and going out, and Philippe helping Driss kind of maybe become more responsible because maybe he never had the opportunity of being responsible. Because but I thought it was really, really good. It's strange because I thought that maybe the people that made this film watched Me Before You. Do you know that film, Me Before You?
No, I don't know.
No, I don't. It's a film with Emilia Clarke, Sam Claflin, and Janet McTeer, and it's a film about pretty much the same, but it was made 6 years after The Intouchables, and it's just this girl, and it's really, really popular. Me Before You, and it's this girl that is an unlikely candidate that becomes the carer for this millionaire who's had an accident and has become a quadriplegic. And they fall in love. So that's the only difference between the two movies.
Weird.
Yeah. So, but I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just a.
Well, there is an actual official American remake of The Intouchables.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
there? Got Bryan Cranston from
Wow.
Breaking Bad, and
Okay.
Kevin Hart plays the carer.
When was it made?
I don't actually remember when it was made, and I don't remember what it was called. I think in the UK it's like an Amazon film.
Okay.
It is meant to be pretty rubbish, but I think that's partly because people were just a bit like, well, it's not as good as the French one, so why would you bother watching it, kind of thing.
Yeah, the French one is very, very good.
Yeah.
Me Before You, I thought it was good before I watched this one, and then I realized that it was pretty much the same story, and I was a bit disappointed by
Bizarre.
that. But
The Upside.
Yeah.
The remake is called The Upside. So when did Me Before You come out?
Me Before You came out in 2016, I think.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, 2016. And Untouchables, or The Intouchables, came out in 2011.
And The
So-
Upside came out in 2017.
Okay, so it's all films that are basically the same.
Bizarre.
But The Intouchables is funny, it's heartwarming, it's really good. Really, really good. And sad. There's some really sad moments where you go, oh. But good. Very fun film to watch. Definitely a recommendation.
Cool.
That's it. That's my culture catch up for the week.
Cool.
Thank you for very much.
You're very welcome. You may vacate the stand.
Okay, I'm just gonna relax now, and it's your turn.
Thanks a
What
lot.
have you been watching, Sa?
I've watched a few movies. Well, first one I'm going to talk about is I want to send you. Can I send you a YouTube video to watch, and then we can talk about the film?
Of course.
How
Yeah.
can that work? I'm going to send you a link. It's only 3 minutes long. You should have it.
Yes.
Are you watching it?
Is that Justin Timberlake?
Yes, please. You'll wonder what's going on for a minute, and then it'll become about 1 minute and 10 seconds in. You'll see why I want you to watch it.
Oh, sure. Ugh. Why?
What's happening?
Ugh. Why? He just puts a needle in his neck. Oh. Even his... Oh, he's got a gun. And now he
Can you hear it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And now his face is puffing up. Okay, 1 minute and 10 seconds. I got sober, but I'm not a soldier. I got sober. Oh, I like this song. Who is it?
It's the Killers.
Ah, yeah. Oh, God, I don't like this song. So he's tripping. There's a lot of women dancing with their legs. It's a pretty boring trip, though. If that's what that drug does, I'll drink a couple of beers.
Is it a trip? I don't know if it's a trip.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I assume it's a trip. He's just taking a drug. He fell on the floor and now he's sad. Okay, so that was very uneventful. Why did I have to watch that?
I just wanted you to see it. What's your perspective on what did you just see? Just describe it for the audience.
Okay, so I've just seen Justin Timberlake with prosthetic scars on his face saying something to this dude and then injecting some substance in his neck, then falling to the ground, and I guess tripping, having a little trip where he has lots of listening. Well, the Killer songs comes up, which is a weird trip song. And then these ladies dancing around him, and then him being very happy drinking a beer, and then him not being happy anymore, and that's the end of the clip.
Yes.
So is that...
That is a clip from a film called Southland Tales.
Okay.
It's a movie made by Richard Kelly, who wrote and directed in the early 2000s Donnie Darko.
Ah, that's a good film.
It is a good film. This was his follow-up movie, and I loved Donnie Darko when it came out, and I was so incredibly excited to see this film. And then when it came out, it famously premiered at the Cannes Film Festival to just about the worst reaction any film has ever received. They then completely re-edited it and released it a year later, and people said, "No, it's worse now. You've made it worse than it was, and that it was bad before." So I never bothered to watch it until recently. Arrow Video put out a Blu-ray of it that includes the Cannes Festival cut of it and stuff like that. And they normally put out stuff that's worth paying attention to. So I picked that up and was like, I'll finally check out Southland Tales and see what it's about. All right. Southland Tales is the story of the near future Los Angeles after a nuclear bomb. It opens with a nuclear bomb going off in Texas and then tries to explain how that's changed the world in some bizarre way. Dwayne Johnson, known as the Rock, plays a actor.
Even in the film?
Yeah. No, in the film his name is Boxer Santaros. He's a Hollywood actor. Like his character is a Hollywood actor who has amnesia and is spending some time with Sarah Michelle Gellar playing a porn star called Kristen Now. And together they've written a film script that predicts the end of the world, and they think it's genuinely predicting the end of the world. Additionally, Sean William Scott, who you might know as Stifler from the American Pie films, plays a policeman and also his twin. And there's a plot for Sean William Scott's twin kidnaps his brother and dresses up as the policeman. So the one who's not a policeman impersonates the police officer, takes the Rock on a drive around the neighborhood because the Rock wants to practice or research what it's like to be a policeman for a role. And then they're going to do a racially motivated shooting that the Rock will film. and I've confused myself. I can't remember why any of that. What? I'm lost. The movie also contains John Lovitz from the Saturday Night Live. Kevin Smith is in there.
Okay.
Amy Poehler is in there. It's
Oh wow.
It's
They got everybody.
yeah, they really do have everybody. There's a 1 second shot of Hostel filmmaker Eli Roth being murdered on a toilet for no reason. I mean, it like literally. And I'm not going to talk about it, but I watched Hostel and Hostel 2 as well in the past week. But there's no point going over those.
No.
It's one of the strangest things I've ever seen. It ends with, and that scene I made you watch of and Justin Timberlake is in there as well. And throughout the entire rest of the movie, he's sat in like a sniper's nest on the end of a pier, guarding a new energy source in the ocean, I think. But then there's this one scene where he's not on this sniper's nest. He's in a shop and he does karaoke to the Killers while women dance around him. And maybe it's a trip, but
I think that was a trip.
But you need to watch the movie, Alex, because like genuinely, I had no concept that would have been a trip, because it's no more or less bizarre than anything else that's happening on screen throughout the entire rest of the film.
Wow.
So watched in isolation, you saw it as a trip. I was just like, this is just one more thing that's occurring that I don't understand, that I'm failing to understand. There's a scene near the end of the movie where The Rock is in a sort of futuristic blimp, and he says the line, because he's talking. I can't remember why he says this line. There's no real good context for it, because he says, "I'm a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide." He's not. No one's accused him of being a pimp. No, he doesn't. No, he says, "I'm a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide." He's not a pimp. He's an actor. And nobody's suggesting that he would. It doesn't make it so. And then Sean William Scott's character says the same line for no reason, as if it's something that people say. And then Sean William Scott shakes hand with his twin, who might just be a future version of himself. And when they shake hands, it causes the ambulance they're in to levitate, so that a man stood on top of it can fire a rocket launcher at a blimp. That is. And you understand that as well as I do, having not even seen the film. It makes as much sense to you as it did to me. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in my life. I wouldn't strongly recommend it to anybody, but I wanted to talk about it.
I should watch it.
It's just bizarre because Donnie Darko is it's not even a 5-star film. It's a masterpiece of a film. Like it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a perfect film. And Southland Tales isn't even competently edited. Like it's just it's so insane. It doesn't make sense that the same person could produce both films. It's just bonkers. Anyway, after Southland Tales, I watched because I've been wanting to get into, like, in terms of directors, like iconic directors, like directors so iconic they could have a Funko Pop made of them, like Hitchcock, Spielberg, that Scorsese. The one that's a big blind spot for me, because I'd only seen like one of his movies, is Spike Lee, who does have his own Funko Pop. And so I saw a few years ago Inside Man and didn't remember it at all. And then recently I watched Black Klansman, which we talked about before. And I was like, I want to kind of get more into some Spike Lee movies and sort of see what's so special about him. So I watched the film of his that's considered his sort of masterpiece, Do the Right Thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is from 1989. The first thing I learned that I didn't know about Spike Lee is that he's also an actor. He stars in this film. It turns out he starred in like 10 of his films, which I had no idea. It's crazy. He's actually pretty good in it as well. It's set in a neighborhood in, I think, Brooklyn in New York. And it's set over the course of like one day, and it's an extremely hot day. And it's all about sort of culture clashes and race relations in this block of Brooklyn in New York as the heat goes up. It stars Spike Lee as Mookie, is he called? What's his name in it? It stars Spike Lee as Mookie. Danny Aiello, who plays the brother in Moonstruck. Yeah. He plays Sal, the owner of a pizzeria. John Turturro from The Big Lebowski plays one of his sons. It's also got Ossie Davis plays a character called the Mayor. Bill Nunn plays Radio Raheem, which is an amazing performance. It's got loads of... Martin Lawrence is in it for like a few scenes. Also in it is... what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Gus in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Ah, okay.
He's in it. He has a big role in it as like... Because nowadays he's known for playing quite reserved, cool, laid-back, villainous types. Like Gus in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and also Moff... What's his name? Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. In Do the Right Thing, he is completely kind of manic. Like, it's a totally different type of role than I've ever seen him in before. So that's really interesting to see him in that. And yeah, as the day progresses, sort of different... there's different personality clashes and different events happen, and a lot of it feels like kind of just a series of little set pieces, if you see what I mean. But there's this running theme all the way through it of sort of, you know, racism. Sal and his sons are Italian Americans who own this pizzeria that all the people in the neighborhood eat in, and Giancarlo Esposito's character points out that there's no black people on the wall, it's all Italian Americans, and Sal's like, well, you buy your own place and you can put, you know, they say brothers and stuff, that you can put your brothers and stuff on the wall. And Giancarlo Esposito's like, well, no Italian Americans eating here, all your money comes from us, black people, why don't you put, you know, some black people up on the wall? And that kind of that argument kind of builds and builds throughout the day. And the great thing about the movie is it's very funny all the way through and very humorous, but it does build to a kind of a really quite violent and upsetting conclusion to sort of the arguments of the day. And it's very, I mean, it's great. Like things happen at the end of this movie that are still happening in 2020 and 2021 in America, and the problems that the movie highlights haven't been solved, haven't even been close to being solved in the years since. And it's quite, even though it's made in 1989, it feels extremely contemporary as a result. Rosie Perez is in it as well, I should mention. She's really good in it as Tina.
Okay.
So yeah, it is a masterpiece. I'm glad I watched it, and I would recommend it if anyone hasn't seen Do the Right Thing. Check it out, give it a go. It is fantastic. Very good movie. Next up. Oh, and then I followed that up by watching Inside Man, which, having watched Do the Right Thing, I could notice more as a Spike Lee film, or a Spike Lee joint, as his credits always say, than... Because people always describe Inside Man as like a real non-Spike Lee movie, but I feel like watching it, looking for it, you can kind of tell Spike Lee's done it. There's a great bit where Denzel Washington gets really angry and runs across to a doorway, and he does it as if he's floating, like Dracula in a Dracula movie, and it's just a kind of a touch that another director wouldn't necessarily do. So yeah, it was good. Then I watched a David Lynch movie, one of the few David Lynch movies I've not seen, called Inland Empire. Which is stars Laura Dern, and David Lynch very famously, this was the last theatrical movie he made actually, in like 2000 and, when did he make Inland Empire? 2011, something like that, or earlier, maybe 2008. He very famously tried to campaign for Laura Dern to be nominated to win an Oscar for this film by sitting in a chair on the corner of a street in Los Angeles with a live cow next to him and a big sign with Laura Dern's face on it. And yeah, I don't know. But
it's such David Lynch, like, oh well, I don't know. Something is going on.
Yeah. I think he said he didn't have the money, or like he didn't have, because he kind of self-financed it. He didn't have the money to do it himself. He didn't have the money to do a full Oscar campaign, so instead he did this, and it became a very famous thing. It didn't get Laura Dern an Oscar, but it became like an iconic thing that David Lynch did, at least. It's a movie. Laura Dern plays an actress who gets a role in a film, and people are worried because the leading man in the movie is known as being a womanizer, and people think that maybe she's going to cheat on her husband with him. And that kind of happens for about an hour, and then Laura Dern wanders into this darkness at the back of the stage that they're kind of practicing this film in, and then for the next 2 hours, nothing that makes sense occurs. It is the most David Lynch film I've ever seen. It is 3 hours long, and 2 of those hours are unhinged madness with the camera just always like inches away from Laura Dern's confused face. It was, I really liked it, but it's
Of course you liked it because you like weird stuff like
but
that.
it was,
It's like, is it weird? Can I spend 2 hours not knowing exactly what's going on? Yeah.
it's the weird. And Terry Crews is in it. There's a point, like, I was watching my housemates recently, is that Terry Crews? What? And then
Terry Crews?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the Terry
yeah,
Crews?
the Terry Crews is in Inland Empire, playing like a homeless person who has like 2 lines. It's very strange.
Okay.
It's pretty weird. Then I watched, let's see, Baskin, pretty good movie. It's on Amazon Prime for anyone in the UK if you like kind of, that's a Turkish movie about a group of policemen that turn up to this warehouse and find like a gateway to hell and get all attacked. Pretty good. Then I watched Orphan, which is on Netflix. Not too much to talk about with Orphan. It's a silly film about a couple who adopt an orphan, basically, and things go wrong. Then...
Oh, with the title like Orphan.
Yeah.
Things definitely go wrong.
Definitely. Then I watched... This is one I really want a big recommendation on. I watched the Alice Lowe movie. She wrote, directed and starred in it. Prevenge. Alice Lowe is a British actress. She was in Garth Marenghi's Dark Place back in the day. She more recently starred in Ben Wheatley's Sightseers, which is another fantastic film. This movie, she made it when she was 8 months pregnant. Okay. And she plays a pregnant woman who, she didn't require any kind of prosthetics for, who is... the movie opens with her going into a pet shop and then, like an exotic pet shop, and then murdering the owner quite brutally. And then the movie is her hearing the voice of her unborn baby in her head telling her to kill people, and her going around these various different people and murdering them, all while incredibly heavily pregnant. And then as the film progresses, you start to work out and realise what links all these victims together and why she wants to murder them. And it's amazing. It starts off feeling like these unconnected little murder set pieces and ends up as this incredibly powerful like drama of a woman struggling with grief and loss and how to move on with her life. And it's a masterpiece. It's such a good film. She wrote it in like 3 days or something, and then it was filmed in like a week because she was really heavily pregnant and they kind of needed, so like it was made, and it was for such and it had a really low budget. It's amazing what they pulled off. And I mentioned this with a few different movies I like. It has an incredible final shot that really stuck with me. So yeah, Prevenge, huge recommendation. I really liked it. Then I watched The Human Centipede.
Why? Have you ever watched it before?
No, I've never seen it. I wanted to see what it was like.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what
I know what it is, but I never watched it. Like
The Human Centipede is a movie about a German mad scientist who kidnaps 3 people and creates stitches them together.
Oh.
With the...
Don't talk about it. People know what the Human Centipede is.
Stitches the mouth to
No.
so that they have one digestive system.
Oh, I want to be sick.
The Human Centipede is not as... It's pretty tame. I was pretty bored through most of the film. And even when the titular Human Centipede is unveiled, it's pretty, like... It's just 3 actors on all fours that are, like, positioned near it. I don't know. I felt like it was a bit kind of tame.
I think because you watch so much stuff that is about gory things... the thought of it makes me want to vomit.
Hey, I'm getting there. Don't you worry.
Oh God, because like you watch things like The Hostel, and I can't even fathom watching those things because I don't know. Yeah,
but Hostel Part 2 flips it round so that the Hostel Part 2 is a cool movie, but I won't get into it right now. Anyway, yeah.
So wasn't that great?
I was a bit like, I was expecting it to be like really grim and gross, and it really just, and it looks like it was all filmed on a porn set. Like this guy's house is just like bare white walls. It's bizarre. So then I watched The Human Centipede 2.
No. Why?
Because I was like, that was a bit... but Human Centipede 2, famously banned by the BBFC in the UK on release. They had to cut about 2 minutes out of the movie for them to give it a rating. The movie is in black and white because it's too gory in colour.
No.
Yeah, The Human Centipede 2 is the movie that I thought I was getting when I watched The Human Centipede 1. The Human Centipede 2 is about a car park attendant in London who, it gets all meta because he's obsessed with the film The Human Centipede, Alex. Do you get it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
clever.
But he's not a mad scientist or a surgeon like the guy in the first film. But he decides he wants to make a human centipede, and it's kind of the same thing. But he decides he wants to make one with 12 people instead of 3 people, and he
That's greedy. That's really greedy.
and he doesn't have any surgical skill. So his attempts to do it are less messier. Let's say messier. Let's say messier, and I won't go into any more detail because really it is horrible. Like it's horrible. It's really horrible. But it made me it grossed me out in the way that I thought the first one would. So I got what I wanted. I guess I don't know. No, I didn't.
What did you want? Did you want? To
I
be
don't know what I
grossed
wanted.
out?
No, I guess I.
Why? But so what is it? The same people that did it?
It's the
different
same.
people?
No, same director. Apparently he was like, because apparently a lot of horror fans were like, oh, like Human Centipede wasn't as gross as we thought it would be. So then he was like, right, I'll make a gross movie for you.
But so what 2 minutes did it cut out? What happens in those 2 minutes? Do I want to know? No.
I mean, it involves barbed wire. We'll leave it there.
Ah! See, I can't watch those things. My imagination just goes.
Yeah, I mean, you probably haven't even. Anyway, I haven't seen it. I watched the version that's cut, so I haven't seen the scene in question. And I'm probably fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
anyway,
you enjoy it?
did I enjoy it?
watching
I don't know. It feels like
You can't say that, can you? You can't say, "Oh yeah, I enjoyed it." Was
no, I didn't enjoy it. But like, if you look it up on Letterboxd, and it has loads of people saying this is the most disgusting, depraved movie ever. Blah blah blah. I hate it. It's immoral, etc. And I don't know. It like the first movie feels really incompetently made almost. Apologies to the director. He's a bit of a mad guy. I hope he doesn't hear this. But the first one I thought was just boring and not that interesting. The second one, it is horrible and depraved, but also maybe it's just something about it being black. It just feels grittier and more interesting. Like the main actor in it gives a great performance. He doesn't have like any lines. He plays this strange, bizarre, bug-eyed little guy who just has a dream of a centipede. No, I don't know if I still don't know what I think about it.
Oh.
I don't know. It's just
Okay,
anyway.
I'm gonna look at images of the Human Centipede 2.
Are you?
Ah!
What does it even show you?
My eyes! Look at my eyes! They're watering. Eyes to mouth. I don't know what I've seen. Carry on.
Yeah, we'll do.
I can't believe. How long is that film?
It's 90 minutes long.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. Then, let's move on. I didn't really watch any TV other than WandaVision. I played a lot of Hitman 3 over the past week or so. I got 7th in the global leaderboards on one of the levels, which I was pretty happy with. Dan,
That's impressive.
I was pretty excited about it. Thanks a lot. Dan,
how many people are playing? 10?
Sorry? Out of how many? Out of like 100,000, yeah? Or something. A load of people. Successful game. Dan from the video game episode has also been playing it, so me and him were like exchanging strategies for different levels back and forth and competing to see who could get at the same times. So it was a pretty exciting thing where on one of the levels I was looking at the global leaderboards and like you could see my username and Dan's username both in like the top 15 or so people in the world, which is cool.
Amazing. That's what coronavirus does. You have to stay home because you're isolating, and you become global leaders in Hitman.
In Hitman, exactly, yeah. So that game is incredible. Like, it's better than Hitman 2, which is in my top 5 video games of all time. So I mean, I really have been enjoying myself with that recently. Then I don't want us to run too long, but we do need to talk a bit about music. OK Human, the Weezer album, was released.
Oh, I forgot to listen to it. Sorry,
Yeah,
Gene.
it's all right. It's been getting very, very good reviews. Some of the best reviews of their recent career have been coming in for OK Human. I listened to it. It is all piano based, like 50s or 60s or 70s sort of. It's a very Pet Sounds, Beach Boys kind of sound. It took a while for me to get into it, but now I really, really love it. So I would recommend to everyone give OK Human by Weezer a listen. The only bad thing about it is it's just under half an hour long, and the songs blend so well together that I keep putting it on and then doing some work, and then I'll suddenly realise that I'm singing along to the final song, and I'm like, oh, it's over, it's finished. Because it doesn't, none of the songs stand out individually almost, if you see what I mean. It does run together as a whole piece almost, which is a really good thing, but also means that it kind of, it keeps finishing before I realise it kind of thing. Then, so it's great, listen to it. Then I want to talk about February 5th, 2021. Was last Friday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
The most notable album release day of the year so far, and probably of all year. So many albums came out on Friday that I've been unable to keep up with them. But, as a brief overview, a band called Black Country New Road released their debut album, For the First Time is the name of that. That is... The Enemy gave it 5 stars and called it basically the future of music. And The Independent gave it 2 out of 5 and said it sounds like a bunch of people trying to sound like The Fall. And the truth lies somewhere in the middle. It does sound a bit like they're obviously influenced by The Fall, but it's also pretty great. The lyrics, I can't decide if I think they're cringy or cool. Like there's a Phoebe Bridgers reference in one of the songs. He quotes a lyric from Phoebe Bridgers. There's a reference to Black Midi, another kind of recent band that I like. There's a reference to Slint. Like it's full of pop culture references and full of references to other bands, and it can almost get a bit much at times, if you see what I mean. The music itself is very like post-punk, jazz, post-rock. It's like a whole mix of different things and ideas. It's a good album, though. I'd recommend people listen to it. Hayley Williams, the front woman from Paramore, released a surprise album on Friday, a la Taylor Swift, called Flowers for Vases. And again, I've listened to it like once. It's all acoustic. It seems really good. I'm going to go back to it, but it's great. John Carpenter, if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you'll know that I adore John Carpenter. No interest in making movies anymore, but he loves making music still. So he does an album series called Lost Themes, which essentially just sound like theme tunes to movies he's never made. He brought out Lost Themes 3 on Friday, Alive After Death. It's just more atmospheric synth bangers from John Carpenter. Pretty great stuff. Most notable release probably would be the Foo Fighters' new album came out on Friday, Medicine at Midnight. The most notable release due to their popularity. The least notable release when you consider the quality of the music in it. It's. I think at the end of the day, when all is said and done, it will probably be one of the least notable Foo Fighters albums. It's not a bad album because they are incapable of making bad music, but it's certainly not anything special from the Foo Fighters. I think I've listened to it a couple of times, and like a handful, like the singles are okay, but overall, I think it's the shortest album. It's like 9 songs, 36 minutes long or something like that, and it just doesn't really stick with you, in my opinion. But it came out. A Canadian band. Go on.
Nice.
Sorry, a Canadian band that I've never listened to before called The Weather Station released an album called Ignorance, which is amazing, really good. Pitchfork, a website I love to hate, gave it 9 out of 10, so I decided to give it a listen. It's really good. In general, with Pitchfork, it seemed my vibe is like if they give something a really good review, it's probably worth checking out. If they give something a bad review, it doesn't matter because they gave the new Weezer album like a 5 out of 10 or something stupid. Idiots. Just no, just awful stuff. Then finally, a post-punk band called TV Priest released their debut album called Uppers, and it's pretty good, but also it's the most Idols sounding thing. Like, it very much sounds like a band that are really heavily influenced by Idols specifically, which is fine, but it doesn't feel that new and fresh to me as a result. But the songwriting is really good. So Uppers by TV Priest. If you like Idols, you'll probably enjoy that. And yeah, that was a bit of a run through, but that was a crazy day for music. All of that, I've listened to like bits and pieces of all those albums and struggled to really have an opinion on any of them.
Well, I feel like we've talked about it before. You need to listen to an album a few times to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Because I've just said that about TV Priest, and I reckon by the end of the year, it'll be like my number 4 album of the year or something. Like, it's
Okay.
definitely a good album. I just need to get more time. And that Weather Station album, yeah, that's really cool. So, yeah, some stuff to check out there.
Sit down at the back and be quiet and get out your book because it's time to discuss your homework. Now.
we've got a top 5 of 90s bands.
Oh, brilliant. Who from?
From Sam, who lives in Singapore.
Incredible scenes.
Incredible seems all round. It seems like she's got very similar tastes to my top 5. So no particular order. She put Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, East 17, 5, and Oasis.
Oh,
Good choices.
yeah, swinging it round
Better
at the
than
last
that.
second with Oasis.
Yeah, come on. I didn't mention 5. I used to love 5. That was so cool.
Did you?
Everybody get up, singing 1, 2. No? Okay. So we know that my music taste in the 90s was very simple.
Well, I didn't have a music taste in the 90s, as we've discussed, so I think you're
Yeah.
up above me there. No, that was a good...
Yeah.
So what was that? Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, East 17, 5, and Oasis?
Yeah. Great memory.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, good choices.
Thank you. Homework time. So last week, we talked about top 5 90s bands. We have very different bands. I went a lot with bands that I listened to in the 90s, and you went more for bands that you liked from the 90s.
Yeah, because if I'd done
Yeah,
bands that I
essentially.
listened to in the 90s, it would have been that band that did... they had like plastic hair, the cartoons. Do you remember them?
No.
I rang the witch doctor. Da, 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 da,
Ah,
bow,
yeah,
bow,
yeah,
bow.
yeah, I do remember. But
I
they
would've-
were... Okay.
I think it was a cover. It's an older song, but they covered that. Basically, it would have been that 5 times. I think that was all I listened to. Oh no, and do you remember Shampoo?
Yeah.
I really liked
yeah.
that song. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Someone's come along and they've burst our bubble. Uh-oh. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
There would have been those. If I'd done 5 artists that I actually listened to in the 90s, it would have been the cartoons and their Witch Doctor
Yeah.
song. It would have been Shampoo, who did "Uh-oh, I'm in Trouble," whatever that is. Maybe Billy Piper. It would have been rubbish. So yeah.
Billy Piper? Come on, she was good. I liked Billy Piper.
No, I love Billy Piper, but again, like, what is that one song? It's not like a anyway.
Yeah. Also, it's not a band, so...
What's the Oh yeah, it's not a band, so it doesn't count. What was the song? Why do you even do those things? What was it? What was it?
What?
What was Billy Piper's song? Why do you always do that? What was it? Because I want to. Because I want to. Because I want to.
What were you saying before?
Why do you always run around? Because I want to. Because I want to. This is why I didn't
Yeah.
do any bands I listened to in the 90s.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Going back to homework.
Yeah.
So I had to listen to a band called Tool, and the album you made me listen to is called Anemia.
Yeah, Anima.
Anima.
Yeah.
Anima, and I think that's their first album.
It's not.
No. Okay. No, awards nominations. Sorry, I'm in the wrong category.
Their
It is not
first
their
album
first
is
album.
what's it called? Undertow?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say yes. So Tool is an American rock band from LA, which was formed in 1990, and it's got people in it. I don't know. I think it changed people a few times. Has
Nope,
it?
not particularly.
No. Drummer Danny Carey, guitarist Adam Jones, and vocalist Maynard James Keenan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the bassist has changed. That's what's changed. So I listened to the album, and I probably would have really liked them when I started getting into like kind of that kind of music, like rock music. And I probably would have enjoyed listening to them in the 2000s when I stopped listening to Spice Girls and I started listening to that. I think I enjoyed listening to the album.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the drums. I don't know
Yeah,
why. I
that's
was
the
really
thing.
impressed with the
The
drums.
drumming is wild.
And I enjoyed. I thought what is difference between their song, their music, and the way that the singer sings, which is Maynard James Keenan, it's not as shouty as maybe other rock bands with a similar kind of music, and he's more. It's like the vocals accompany the music rather than the music accompanies the vocals. In some songs.
As in the music is the most important part, do you mean?
Yeah. And it's like it's got a really not like you said, he had a great voice, and he has got a great voice, which is you can hear it, and I think they're okay, but they're really, really serious. Like it's a serious band, it's a serious rock band. We do some serious rock music because I watched some lives as well.
Yeah.
And they've just felt like, yeah, we're here to do our music and we're serious about it and this is what we do. And, kudos to them because they're great musicians and he's a great singer.
It's a weird thing that you point that out though, because they are, like, you're spot on about how serious they are, but they're such a weird band because they're also not at all like that. Early on, their logo for the band was like a spanner.
It was a spanner in the shape of a penis.
Yeah, exactly, right. But then for years, like the kind of the picture of them that was always used in like articles about them was this picture of them gathered around like a barbecue. And Maynard James Keenan has got like water wings on, like inflatable water wings. Like they'll be really weird in photo shoots, but then even within their music, I can't remember which album it's on, but there's a song on one of the albums where he's like yelling in German.
Okay.
And it sounds really sort of like almost like a fascist speech is being given, if you see what I mean. That's kind of what your brain immediately associates the noise with, because it's this kind of angry German shouting. But apparently, like, if you translate the lyrics, it's actually just screaming out the recipe for chocolate chip cookies. So, like, even at times within their music, they can get a bit funny. They've got a song, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a song all about how they were accused of selling out. And the lyrics are like this really quite funny, searing, like, attack on a fan who told them they'd sold out and be like, if I'm the man, then you're the man, we're all the... Like... I don't know. You are right. They are very serious, but they're also not funny in the way that like Weezer are funny. Like funny in kind of a way where it almost like, have you seen Goodfellas?
Yeah.
You know that scene in Goodfellas where somebody laughs at Joe Pesci's joke and then Joe Pesci gets really angry and is like, "I'm a clown to you. And then he kills the guy."
Yeah.
Tool feel like that. Tool are like they will be funny, but if you laugh at them, that you're scared that they're gonna like get really annoyed at you for like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I watched a live video because I thought maybe live they'll be better, but I don't think I would personally enjoy a Tool concert, because I would die probably. Anyway.
Why? People don't mosh at Tool concerts.
But they seem to be really like in front because they can't see much at the back, can they? I don't know. They seemed like a big conglomeration of people.
I don't know. I think you'd probably be... I don't know. Like, I was right at the front of a Tool concert and it was fairly chill. It was a fairly relaxed atmosphere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's interesting, and like there's a moment where they're in a song which I can't. And the thing about the album is just it kind of blends together. There are some songs that stand out, but there is a song where they use a sample from Bill Hicks. I thought that was really good, very
Yes.
90s. Bill Hicks is a famous 90s comedian, very funny, very real, kind of like the classic comedians that were kind of down on themselves and quite depressed. Maybe that's what Bill Hicks was like.
Yeah,
a
it was
bit
pretty
more like of a
dark. And the clip of Bill Hicks
dark
on the
comedian.
album, it's that where he's talking about how all best music is made by people on drugs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I thought, because I don't know. I used to love Bill Hicks, and I haven't watched any of his stand up. Well, he's passed away now, but he had a couple of stand up videos that I had, and yeah, and that was good because like, Bill Hicks, I forgot about him. But and then there's a song where this guy just swears in Italian and says that you're like yeah, and it's just like why why is this happening? But it was good because I could understand everything, so I was like, okay,
Interesting.
but yeah, I didn't mind them. I think I would have been more into them if I at that age of my life, and probably if I got into them then, I probably would be into them now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like them. I thought the drama was amazing. Like I was blown away by that. But yeah, they're good.
It's interesting you make that point as well about the because on their newest album, after like a 13-year break, they came back with a new album called Fear Inoculum, like 2019, which has I can't remember how many songs are on it, but it's only about 6 actual songs, but each one is like 10 minutes long. And the majority of it is like almost instrumental. Like Maynard James Keenan is still there and singing, but the focus is really on the music. So as they've aged and gone through their career, more and more they're focused in on the music. So you picked up on that in their second album, but it's something that they've played on. And the drumming on that newest album, there's a drum solo track called Chocolate Chip Trip, which is Rowan probably likes it a lot, I imagine. So that's Tool.
Yeah, that's Tool.
That's Tool, baby. Okay, so on to me. I had to listen to the group TLC. Hi, which stands for Tender Loving Care. Yeah.
What?
No, it doesn't. It's I think it's the initials of the group.
Yeah, is it not? Yeah, it's not. It's like, well, sometimes it does, but not in this case.
Yeah, but that's why they've done TLC and not LCT or CTL.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, because the original lineup was Tion T-Boz Watkins, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, and Crystal Jones. TLC. They were a hip hop, R&B, pop group, girl group in the 90s. Although they're still going today, right? I didn't realize they put out a new album just a couple of years ago. Yeah. With just the two, the two that are left in the band, T-Boz and Chili, who is new, replaced Crystal Jones. Okay, cool.
Yeah, quite, but
quite early on. It was
quite early on.
Yeah,
much earlier on.
So really, it's T-Boz, Chili, and Left Eye. They're the main.
Yeah.
Or T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili to do it in the right order.
Yes, George.
Why aren't they called TC now?
Well, God, are you trying to not talk about them? I don't know why.
Not at all.
I guess Left Eye Lopez was such a big part of it.
And she didn't leave the band, did she? She tragically died in an accident. So I guess it honours her memory by keeping the L in TLC.
Hi.
Yeah. So, apparently they're the best-selling American girl group of all time, which is crazy.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. And speaking of crazy, I had to listen to their album Crazy Sexy Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, which was
Crazy,
released.
Sexy Cool, CSC.
Yeah. But it's all one word. It's all done as one word, which is interesting in the title. Yeah. So it's just C. Came out in 1994. A big album for TLC. Featured the massive hits Waterfalls.
Yeah.
And Creep.
Don't go chasing Yep. And Creep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to that a few times, and then I listened to This Is TLC, the Spotify
the second one.
playlist that just has the singles and stuff on it. Well, because
Okay.
for every kind of big band, there's always a Spotify playlist called like This Is TLC or This Is Weezer or This Is Radiohead or whatever. So I listened to the Spotify kind of compilation of them, and yeah, I kind of stick by. I kind of maintain that I really like No Scrubs, which isn't on Crazy Sexy School, but I really like that song. And Waterfalls.
That's in Fun Mail. It's not in Crazy Sexy Cool, is it?
Yeah, it's not on Crazy Sexy Cool, yeah, but I don't know what album it is on, but it's a good song.
The second one, yeah.
Creep is a good song.
Mm-hmm.
But Waterfalls is obviously, and almost, I probably should listen to it more, but I almost feel like when I was listening, the few times I listened to Crazy Sexy Cool, I was kind of like, yeah, this is pretty good, but it's going to be really good when Waterfalls gets it.
Yeah.
And then Waterfalls gets there, and yeah, it's pretty incredible stuff. Like, that song is amazing.
Yeah, that song is pretty cool.
The whole album is cool. It sort of suffers slightly from I feel like it's a bit of a 90s thing of having like interludes all over your hip hop albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily need interludes, although it's quite good actually. This one actually separates them out into separate tracks, so you could hide them on Spotify and just listen to the album without the interludes, which is probably the way to go. Whereas Lauryn Hill has the interludes just on the end of tracks, so you can't. It's impossible to. Come on, Lauryn Hill. Anyway,
I feel like with interludes, you either like them or hate them. Like,
yeah.
I like them. I personally like them. I feel like if an artist decided to do that, there is a reason, and sometimes it's pretty cool, and sometimes they kind of like put you in a different. I don't know. They show you a different aspect of the album, or maybe of the. I don't know. I quite liked interludes, but when I talk to people, there's more people that don't like interludes. Because like, why do I have to listen to somebody on the phone, and why do I have to listen to a recorded voice message? It's like, well, because it's fun, isn't it?
It's fun the first few times, but I feel like with an album, you listen to it over and over again. A song is entertaining over and over again. A conversation is entertaining like a handful of times. And then it stops being
like Frank Ocean, the interlude when it goes, you must, don't smoke weed, don't drink alcohol.
Yeah, skip it.
I don't know, I like that. Skip it.
The interlude on Blonde with the French guy talking about the girlfriend that dumped him because he wouldn't add her on Facebook.
Yeah.
Why
Why not?
Why is that? That's not a song though, I think.
Yeah, but it's part of the album, and it's part of the story of the album. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like, for example, in the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, the interludes are like about school, and that's what the album is about. I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know. I like them, but I know it's an unpopular opinion.
The thing with the Lauryn Hill ones is that they are too long and they are all the same.
Well, they're not all the same.
They are all the same. They're all the same location. They're all the same setting and scenario. It's like a guy talking to a group of kids.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Boring.
Well, okay. I want you to listen to one of the best interludes ever and tell me you don't enjoy it, and I will send you the link. Is Muramasa. There is an interlude in that album that I love, and I actually, when I listen to that album, I look forward to that interlude.
Right. Okay.
I will send it to you, and then we can talk about it next week because it's so good.
Okay. The interludes on To Pimp a Butterfly are pretty good. I'll give it to that.
Those are good interludes. Not all interludes are bad. Well, I like them all. But...
You don't like them all. Don't say silly things.
Not
like
all. I like a lot of them. Sorry, G.
You don't like Eminem's interludes, surely?
I don't remember them, actually.
Oh, they're rubbish. They're just irritating and immature.
Well,
Anyway.
I might like them. Rubbish, irritating, and immature. Hello.
Yeah, it's like our podcast.
What? That's so mean. Sorry, podcast.
But that's broadly kind of my TLC are great. Their singles are amazing. I haven't really grasped the album yet, but I feel like that's not the point with TLC almost.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool that like the album's good, but you can see the effort went into, Waterfalls, and that song is an absolute like once in a generation banger of a song. And then they did No Scrubs, which was perfected later by Weezer, but TLC did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're a good 90s band. And, I listened to the album as well. And I was like, I'm glad I didn't know what the lyrics meant when I was
yeah, it's pretty
girl.
Pretty explicit stuff on there, right?
Yeah, it is. I was like, wow. But, I was Italian. Well, I'm still Italian, but
It's lucky your
was mainly Italian.
family friend didn't make your mum throw it away.
No, because I didn't buy it. I never bought actually Crazy Sexy Cool. I listened to Crazy Sexy Cool through MTV.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, when Waterfalls came out, and the video is pretty amazing. You should watch the video.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the video, but I don't remember.
Watch it again.
Yeah, we'll do.
Great. Well, positive all
Positive
around
vibes.
this week.
Yep, absolutely.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Our top 5.
Top 5 movie villains.
Yeah. Men or women, doesn't matter. You're a movie villain.
Yeah, true. Mine are all
Yeah.
men, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, mine are not all men.
Okay, good for you. I almost anyway. Go on.
Well, like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. No, I felt I have a list of loads of names, but I finally made a list which I'm semi-happy about.
Good.
Okay, so my number 5 is a villain from an English film from 2001, and the villain is called Brick Top, and the film he's in is Snatch.
Right. Cool.
Why? Why you laugh? Why you laughing?
Just was not what I expected you to say.
Why?
No, it's good. It's a good choice. He feeds people to pigs in
well.
that movie.
It does feed people to pigs. Like Bricktop. So it's in the film Snatch, and Snatch is about illegal gambling, basically. It's a film about illegal gambling. So Jason Statham plays a boxing promoter. His name is Turkish. I can't do the accent. And he convinces Bricktop to bet on this bare knuckle boxer, Mickey, Brad Pitt, like one of the best Brad Pitt. You like tags? So, and then it's just when Mickey, which is the bare knuckle boxer, doesn't do what he's supposed to do, according to Bricktop, he demands another match, and then it's all a big snatch thing. But what I like about Bricktop is just that he is evil. He is scary all around, but scary in a very earthy way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
No,
he's
yeah.
an earthy kind of scary. You know that he means business. You know that he's evil. You know that his house is going to be covered in red velvet. He's got the quiff. He's got the glasses. He's got the accent, and he's just bloody evil. And when he's around, when he's in, because I was watching clips and it just reminded me how terrified I was of him, just because anything can happen. He's a terrifying guy because he's this little old man that will feed you to the pigs. And how are you going to be fed to the pigs? You know, you have to be cut in 6 parts, and you have to like get your teeth taken away. Just
I think it's that
amazing.
sort of way he describes how it happens in like forensic detail is what makes it so terrifying. Is that he kind of, it makes you realise that he's done it a lot because he knows exactly how it works. This is not the first time he's feeding a man to a pig.
No,
He's
this
an
is
old
not his
hand
first
at
rodeo.
feeding men to pigs.
been-
And then also there's the horror of exactly how it's done is just awful. So yeah, no, it's pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
So yeah, that's my number 4. Bricktop.
No, it's not. It's your number 5.
Oh God, that's my number 5. Bricktop.
Good, a good shout. An unexpected choice, but I really like it. Well done.
Good times.
Yeah, very good times. All right, my number 5 is so you've just given us a really good example of a villain who is just evil, and we don't need to understand why he's doing what he's doing. He's just an evil, terrifying guy, which is a great type of movie villain. The other kind of great type of movie villain is the movie villain where you can see where they're coming from and understand why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
one of my favourite examples of that kind of movie villain is Gollum.
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 My precious. My precious. Gollum. I don't know if I've talked about it much on this podcast yet, but I really love the Lord of the Rings movies quite a lot. Big fan of those films. And
Same.
I mean, there's not going to be anyone listening who doesn't know who Gollum is, but he is a kind of iconic character from those movies. He is a halfling, not a hobbit necessarily, but a sort of halfling character who many, many years earlier, before the films are set, discovered the One Ring and kind of killed his friend to keep it. It shows you that at the start of, I think it's the third movie, maybe, or the second. Well, can't remember exactly. I think it's the third movie, Return of the King. Kills his friend to keep the ring, and then hides in a cave with it for, I guess hundreds of years, and gets kind of transformed and mutated in the dark and the dank into this kind of horrible little gross Gollum. He's not a dwarf, he's not a troll, he's not a goblin, he's just a Gollum, a Smeagol, a Gollum. And yeah, when the ring eventually finds its way he loses the ring in The Hobbit to Bilbo Baggins, and then Bilbo eventually gives the ring to Frodo, and hence setting off the films where Frodo has to try and destroy the ring, and Gollum ends up kind of looking for the ring and trying to take it back from Frodo. And there's these brilliant scenes in the second movie where it's Frodo and Sam and Gollum trying to get across this marshland and stuff and get to Mount Doom, and Sam doesn't trust Gollum, and Gollum is trying to turn Frodo against Sam. And there's these scenes where he's like, and Andy Serkis, it's one of the first fully motion capture performed characters in a film. It's like Andy Serkis with a jumpsuit covered in ping pong balls on him, basically acting out the character, and then they kind of added on the CGI actual creation afterwards. And there's these incredible scenes where Andy Serkis is doing two roles. He's playing Gollum and Smeagol, who is like the original person that became Gollum, and like there's the good, I don't know if that's technically correct, but it's like the good version and the bad version, and he's arguing with himself. And the way Peter Jackson films it, where he kind of I don't know if he breaks the 180 line, but he kind of makes it look as if it's a conversation between two people, basically. It's amazing. It's incredible work.
Cool.
It still holds up today, special effects wise, and it's just incredible. There's an incredible performance. Like, there's a reason why for years people would just go around going, "My precious," and stuff, because it's just one of those iconic roles. And there's definitely there's at least three of the villains on my list of these kind of iconic cultural icons, and like Gollum is absolutely one of those. He is a truly repulsive, unpleasant villain. The scene of him eating a fish is just disgusting.
Yes.
But you love to hate him. You love to hate him. He's such a little creepy guy. Yeah, no, I love Gollum, and I'll always love Gollum. And they're making Alex, you've got to know about this.
George.
They're making a Gollum video game.
Are you? No.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
I think it's just been delayed to next year or something, but they're making a Gollum video game. I can't grasp what that's going to be, what that actually will be, but it's going to be made. We're going to get to play as Gollum. Be Gollum.
So you're going to be the bad guy, the villain.
Yeah, but I don't. Well, yeah, but I mean, see, I almost expected you to argue with me about whether he really is a villain or not. Because I feel like he's almost
definitely is.
Yeah, but you can understand where he's coming from. Like he's been warped by this ring, and he's just
But then you could talk about a lot of villains are like that, but
No,
he is
definitely.
a villain. He tries to not. So the goal of Frodo is to get this ring to Sauron,
Yeah.
and he's trying his best not to do that.
But
and
also,
that is a villain.
But Sauron wants the ring so he can take over Middle Earth and be evil. Gollum wants the
Yeah.
ring so he can just have it and then sit in a little cave. Like, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. Like, if he had
Yeah.
the ring, he wouldn't harm anyone. He'd just have it.
Well, no, because if somebody steals it from him, then he's gonna harm them because he has killed before.
No, exactly.
So
He's
he
killed
is-
and stuff. He's a bad person. He's not a good person necessarily, but he's not like Sauron is a villain. Like, he's the villain.
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean?
I
Like,
guess so.
I'm not
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
guess
like
so.
trying to, because I'm not trying to convince you that Gollum shouldn't be on my list, but he's not necessarily like, he's not motivated by wanting to do evil things. He's motivated by wanting the ring. And if he got the ring and was left alone, he wouldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah,
If you see what I mean.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But then somebody is always going to try and find that ring. So, is always going to, at some point, be a villain.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
don't
fair.
know.
But then
Yeah.
is he a villain? If he's got the ring, it's his ring at that point. And then if someone's trying to take it off him, they're the villain.
But then in the end, he's not a villain anymore because he becomes good, doesn't he?
No, in the end, he falls into a big pit of lava.
Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Forgot.
Spoilers for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Well, villain is the person that you think is the bad guy.
Yeah, and he's a bad guy. No, yeah, he's a bad. Billie Eilish is the best villain. Yeah. Oh,
Billie Eilish.
yeah, because a bad guy. Never mind.
Ah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm a bad guy. Duh.
Duh.
Doo-doo.
Who's your number 4?
Doo-doo. My number four. Okay. So my number 4 is okay. Well, basically, this was hard because the two villains that I wanted to put in my list were kind of similar. It kind of came from the same book, so I had to choose one of them.
Oh,
They're both women, and the one I didn't put in my list, but is going to be my honorable mention, is Mrs. Carmody from The Mist.
oh, okay.
She was gonna be, but then I didn't. So my number 4 is from a film, from a 1990 horror mystery thriller film, called Misery, and the villain is
Annie Wilkes.
Annie Wilkes. Yes. What?
No, it's good.
Okay, I was like, oh. Yeah, so Misery is about this writer,
Sheldon.
a novelist, Paul Sheldon, that has a serious car crash and is rescued by this former nurse, Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates,
Oh.
which, wow.
Did she win? She won an Oscar, didn't she, for that?
Yeah, she won an Oscar for it. And she claims that to be his biggest fan, and she takes him to this cabin to make him recover, where she finds out that Misery. Does she find out when she's in the cabin that the character of Paul Sheldon's books, Misery, is going to die?
Yeah, isn't it
in the
that
books.
he's resting up in her cabin, and then the
Yeah.
new Misery book comes out, and she
Yeah.
buys it and reads it, and Misery
Yeah,
dies in that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she sort of
I think
turns on
so.
him.
Yeah, oh my gosh, she turns on him like
Because he's a dirty bird.
in a yeah. Yeah, she turns on him, and he tries to escape, and she becomes more and more controlling and asks him to change the story of Misery to kind of resuscitate this character, and it just becomes. And then one day he tries to escape. She kind of finds out because she's like, I don't know, she knows everything. And the scene that I will never get off from my head is when she puts that plank of wood in between his feet and does what she does. And you're
Hobbles
like,
him.
Oh, and it's awful.
Mm.
It's awful because you that scene for me it will always be in my head, and the way that this character changes so much. She looks after him, and she she's a nurse, and then as soon as he doesn't do what he wants her to do, no, as soon as he does what she doesn't want him to do, then she just turns, bam, and she just becomes.
But isn't there a thing where when she had been a nurse, she'd done some pretty bad things as well?
Yeah, but you don't know that until
No, it's because
further into the film.
I've seen the film and read the book, so I'm not necessarily remembering if they put that in the film. But
I think does he not find out stuff when he tries to escape?
wasn't she like murdering babies?
Something like that. Yeah.
It's like a death nurse kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think he finds papers, doesn't he? He finds newspaper clippings. Is
Showing
that
that she was disgraced.
Yeah. Yes, but you don't know that at the
No,
beginning. You think
yeah.
she's just helping him out, and then she takes him somewhere really far, and you don't think he's gonna make it because she's evil.
Yeah, there's a scene where
but
she
yeah,
runs somebody over in like a lawnmower. That's horrible.
And that's the thing, like when I started this list, she was definitely on my list. Like she's in my list, and I'll always remember her as like a movie villain, like the best. And
she is.
She's one of the best.
I hadn't even thought of her, and I'm embarrassed now because it is one of the best performances ever of all time.
Yeah, and I just love it, and she's just evil, terrible. Yeah. It's amazing how, like, she can just turn into this horror. This the scene when she just gets the feet and the feet just flop. You're like, whoa.
Have you read the book?
No, I haven't read.
Do you know how that scene is different in the book?
How?
She just it's kind of worse, but I think it wouldn't look as horrible in a film, so I can see why they changed it.
Yeah.
In the book, she just straight up cuts off his feet.
Oh. I guess that would take much longer. I think that scene is so effective because it's just like she does things. It's like, what's she gonna do? And then suddenly she goes, "Pam!" It's like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's a really, really good film, and I think a great villain, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I think you are absolutely right to put her in your list. She is terrifying. Yeah. Like the whole thing where she refuses to swear. She doesn't swear. Yeah. She says she calls people dirty birds and things like that.
Yeah.
It's really scary. She's genuinely really scary.
It's amazing how Stephen King can make these really scary women.
Yeah, because she's not on your list, but Mrs. Carmody in The Mist is the religious lady who whips everyone up into a frenzy. She is. I mean, that's one of the few times I've seen people applaud in a cinema is when she gets killed in that movie.
Yeah.
Spoilers for The Mist. Sorry.
Yeah. But it was amazing. So, but I wasn't sure which one. But because Annie Wilkes was just like the first one that came into my head. It's like, yeah, she was memorable, like really memorable as a villain. So, my number 4.
Nice.
What's your number 4?
My number 4 is an icon.
Ooh.
Mindless.
Mm-hmm.
Killing machine.
Oh.
Yeah. It is the one and only
Ant-Man.
Yes. No. It is the one and only Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series of films. Have you seen any Friday the 13th films?
No.
No. Jason is like... I mean, the story of Jason is that he was a little boy staying in a summer camp. The camp counselors got too preoccupied with taking drugs and kissing each other that they didn't notice him drowning in a lake, and he died. And then in the original Friday the 13th movie, somebody comes back and starts murdering camp counselors as revenge for them allowing Jason to die years earlier. The twist, I mean, spoilers for Friday the 13th if you really care. the twist in that movie is it's not actually Jason. It is Jason's mother is killing them. And then in Friday the 13th Part 2, that's when they bring in Jason, and suddenly who they never bother explaining how he isn't dead. There's no interest in explaining why he's able to be alive, when the whole point is that he died in a lake. But he's alive in the woods, and he kills a load of counsellors. But he has a bag over his head. In the third movie, iconically, he puts on a hockey mask, and there we have Jason as we know and love him today.
So he didn't always have a hockey mask?
No, he didn't always have a hockey mask. Only in Part 3 does he produce the hockey mask.
Wow.
And then there's like 12 movies in total. And what I love... So I almost put... Because I really wanted to have like an iconic slasher movie villain on my list, because I love slasher films. And you've got like Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw movies. Not really slasher films, but he's kind of a slasher villain, if that makes sense. Michael Myers is kind of... My favourite slasher movie is probably Halloween, so Michael Myers is up there. But... the Halloween sequels are terrible. Almost exclusively terrible. There's like 2 good ones. Whereas the Friday the 13th movies, none of them come close to the quality of the first Halloween, but all of them are pretty watchable, because they don't... Like, Halloween gets bogged down in, is Michael Myers a god made by a cult? Like, it gets all these... It becomes like this ridiculous plot of nonsense. Whereas Friday the 13th is like, we're at a camp, there are teenagers, there's a guy in a hockey mask with a big machete, and he's going to murder them. And that's all you ever want, and that's all it ever gives you. And for that purity, if you see what I mean, I kind of really love the Jason movies, just because you can put on pretty much any of them and get exactly the same thing. And sometimes you just want to see some irritating teenagers get a harpoon through them while they're in bed together, and put on Friday the 13th, and that's what you'll get. And he just looks cool. He's a big hulking guy with a hockey mask on and a machete. I like him. I like Jason. So yeah, you haven't seen any of them, have you?
No.
They're not scary.
So are they not?
No, they're...
Are you sure?
I'm really sure they're not scary. Like, you've seen stuff like Sounds of the Lambs, or what else have I made you watch? I've made you watch some genuinely scary films.
You have.
Friday the 13th is just... It's just sort of... It's too silly to be scary, if you see what I mean. It's just... It's not trying to build suspense, really. It's just sort of, what's going to happen, and then it happens, and it's just fun to see the special effects and the screaming and stuff. So yeah, I like Jason. Jason's my guy. I'm surprised at myself. I really thought Michael Myers would be on there, but then I thought about it, and I was like, no. Do you know what? Jason Voorhees.
Jason. Yes.
Jason
Cool.
Voorhees.
Nice choice.
There we go. What's your number 3?
3. My number 3 is an unlikely villain.
Oh.
Or a very likely villain, depending on how you look at it. So it's a film that I actually watched with you at the cinema and was pretty intense. And the villain is called Amy Dunn. And the film is Gone Girl.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah. So Gone Girl is what is Gone Girl?
It's a psychological thriller.
It's a psychological thriller, and on their wedding anniversary, the Nick Dunn reports his wife Amy Dunn has gone missing, and this thing goes into a media frenzy, and the portrayal that the husband gives about the family kind of is not true. And a lot of the film, you feel like Nick Dunn, the husband, is the villain.
Yeah.
And then you realize.
Oh, no.
Not
Yeah, it's almost
Nick
a spoiler
Dunn
to say that she's a villain.
Ah,
I see
sorry.
what you mean.
Guys, it's a spoiler. My number 3 is a spoiler.
We're just gonna
Maybe
in
we should do
the
it
show notes for
before.
this week. I'm just gonna have to be like, spoilers abound.
Spoiler. Yeah. So, like, a lot of the film, you feel like he's the villain and you hate him and you go, oh, God. And then you realize that she is the villain. She's one of the most manipulative characters I have seen in films, and so unexpected because she seems like a person, and then she's totally the opposite, and the things that she does are so twisted that you go, what? And it just, with her, is surprise after surprise after surprise. And I feel as a villain, she's just amazing, and the film is so well done that you don't really suspect anything until quite into the film, don't you?
Yeah, and the book, I read the book before I saw the film. The book is amazing at doing a similar thing as well, where I think for half the book you're seeing it from his perspective, and then suddenly there's a bit where it's like the diary of Amy Dunn, and you read her diary for a bit and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh no, who is the villain in this? And like, she's like so calculating. She's pretty psychotic, isn't she? Like,
Yeah, I mean, she straight up murders
like
Neil Patrick Harris, right?
Yes, you're right. She straight up murders. I don't want to say too much because I already spoiled quite a lot.
At this
yeah.
point, in for a penny, in for a
At
pound.
this point, yeah, and and she's, it comes from like a really twisted childhood that she says she had, and kind of creates this character that she is, and she kind of portrayed like a really happy life, but in reality, it wasn't that way, and she's just brilliant. She's a brilliant villain, and what else can I say about her?
No, I think you've got. I mean, well, Rosamund Pike in particular.
Oh,
is so
Rosamund
good.
Pike is amazing.
Yeah.
She's such a good actress. She's and another thing, like a bit like Kathy Bates, she's so good at turning. Like, you assume that she's this like nice lady that that her husband has been mistreating her. There's a scene where she like strangles herself, and then she says, I'm gonna say you did it. You go, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's
Whoa.
It's horrible.
And she turns, and she's just a brilliant actress, and I feel like a really twisted villain. And poor Ben Affleck, poor Nick Dunn.
Yeah, and you don't want to feel sorry for him because he's kind of not a very likable character, even though he's not a villain. He's not particularly likable.
And he cheats on her, and he spends all the money. He's a bit of a man child, and you go, well, I don't like you, but poor you. Like, she's a tough cookie.
Yeah, it's like taking a sledgehammer to a very small problem, really.
Yeah. And, and I feel like also at that point, I think a lot of stuff about Ben Affleck was coming out as well. So you didn't really like Ben Affleck anyway because of all the media that was coming out of him.
Yeah.
So you already didn't particularly like him. Then he wasn't a very nice guy. And then his wife disappears and you go, oh my God, Ben Affleck, I hate you. Look what you've done. And then you realize that he's actually the victim.
Yeah.
And she's such a conniving character and so manipulative that she just makes everybody believe, even you as the viewer, you believe that she is the victim.
Yeah.
She's not.
About
yeah.
Once or twice a decade, an amazing psychological thriller comes out, and I just live for like Silence of the Lambs, Misery, Gone Girl, Seven. Like,
yeah.
Every now and then a film and actually two of those movies I just listed were David Fincher movies. Like, he's the king of these, but like,
yeah.
I just live for these psychological thrillers with the better, especially when they have an amazing twist in them, like Gone Girl does. I just love it. It's so good. So yeah, a strong choice.
Amy Dunn, Gone Girl, number 3.
Gone Girl, like it. Right, my number 3 is some actors become associated almost exclusively with playing villains, right?
Yeah.
And one of the best ever to do it was Alan Rickman. And I almost had Hans Gruber on my list, but because we've already sort of talked at length about how much we love Hans
Yeah.
Gruber and how much we love Alan Rickman, I decided not to put him on my top 5. But I mean, Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber in Die Hard is like the all-time best action movie villain. It's incredible. But I decided instead to highlight another actor who became iconically known for playing movie villains, and my favourite role of his, or villainous role of his, is Dennis Hopper.
Yes, baby.
Yeah.
He's such a good movie villain.
Dennis Hopper is an amazing movie villain. He played the villain in Speed. He played the villain in the Mario Brothers movie. He played a villain in one of the...
Blue Velvet as well.
Sorry?
Blue Velvet. Is he in Blue Velvet?
So, here we go.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Frank Booth. Dennis Hopper's villain in David Lynch's 1986 classic Blue Velvet.
Is it David Lynch?
Yeah.
Blue Velvet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that film.
Oh, so there we go.
I didn't realize it was David Lynch.
Yeah, of course it's David
Oh,
Lynch.
It's pretty normal for David Lynch.
When did you last watch it?
A long time ago. So no, I know. Does he not? Is he not addicted to oxygen or something?
Well, this is so there's a great thing where
Okay, sorry. I'm go
I'm
taking your shine.
So Blue Velvet is the story of a young man played by Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks, who finds a human ear in a field one day after the movie opens with his dad having a heart attack, and he's walking home from the hospital having visited his father, and he finds this ear, and he puts it in a brown paper bag and takes it to the police, and then he goes to the police officer's house that evening to ask him if they found out anything about where this ear came from. The policeman's like, I'm finding stuff out, but you kind of have to leave it with me, and when it's all finished with, I'll let you know. And Kyle MacLachlan's a bit like, well, I want to be part of it and know about it. And as he leaves the house, Laura Dern, who's playing the policeman's daughter, turns up and tells him that her bedroom is above his office, and she's overheard some talk about the ear and stuff, and she can kind of lead him on a bit, and gives him an apartment building in the name of this singer played by Isabella Rossellini. And he goes to her apartment. He sneaks in one day under the guise of being a pest exterminator and steals her key, and then goes back later and hides in her closet and watches her. And then Frank Booth arrives and is just similar to Bricktop. He's so... And it is a bit of a surreal movie. Like, it's not as strange as some of David Lynch's work, but it is surreal. But his evilness in it, his evil feels really real, and I think that's what makes it so terrifying. Is that he's extremely abusive towards this woman, is played by Isabella Rossellini, but he thinks he's in love with her, but he just doesn't know how to show it, which is something that happens a lot, sadly. But yeah, he has this like canister with an oxygen mask attached to it, and the really funny thing is that on the Blu-ray there's an interview with Dennis Hopper where he's talking about how he got this role, and originally this canister was meant to be filled with helium, and David Lynch had written it that Frank Booth would like take hits of this helium and then be speaking in like, I guess, a squeaky voice or whatever. Yeah. And Dennis Hopper was like, oh really, because I kind of imagined it might be like amyl nitrate and stuff like that he'd be getting high on. And David Lynch was like, oh, I've never heard of that, what's that? Like, David Lynch is, for a man who makes such dark films, he's a really innocent guy. Like,
yeah, it's like, oh, you're just taking shots of helium.
Yeah. And Dennis Hopper was like, oh no, I know an actual, like, quite serious drug that he might be taking. And Dennis Hopper had just gone sober and had basically lived the life of Frank Booth in a way, and like had been on all this stuff for years. And Dennis Hopper was like, look, if it was amyl nitrate in there, this is what it would be like. And he kind of demonstrated to David Lynch how you'd behave if you were on that. And David Lynch was like, oh, that's much better. We should do that. Which I just love. I love how any story about David Lynch makes me happy, but that particularly is great. And there's also another story how like Frank Booth swears, and David Lynch wrote this script. Frank Booth, Dennis Hopper's character, swears constantly in this movie and is obnoxious. And whenever David Lynch was directing him, he'd be like, yeah, when you say that word, Dennis Hopper would be like, what, you mean? And he'd be like, yeah, that word. And it's like, say it. Why aren't you saying it? You wrote it. So he's such a great guy, David Lynch. So yeah, Dennis Hopper in this movie is terrifying and awful and just really similar to Bricktop in a way, like unpredictable. Like you never know what's going to upset him, or what's going to make. Like there's points in the movie where he's sobbing and crying and seems like a kind of an innocent child, and then in a second he'll just turn and just be attacking somebody. There's a bit in the movie where he walks up to Kyle MacLachlan and just punches him in the face out of nowhere, and it's horrible. He's horrible and terrifying, and it's just one of the perfect movie villains. Really, is Frank Booth in Blue Velvet is truly terrifying. So yeah, he's my pick. And you've seen it, so you agree?
Yeah. I didn't realize it was David Lynch, but yeah, he's terrifying. Dennis Hopper is terrifying anyway.
Oh yeah.
Like I find he's got a terrifying face.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty crazy in this one, and he makes a good, I don't know, a good terrifying unstable character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Good choice, man.
Thank you very much.
I like it.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is a villain from a franchise, a movie franchise from 2008, from The Dark Knight. And the villain is the Joker, played by, what's his name? Played by? What's his name? Heath Ledger. Ledger's the Joker. I wasn't sure if I should put him in, but I really liked his portrayal of the Joker, and I really like Batman, and I feel like Batman always has some good villains, but I think this one stood out really stood out, this Joker. And I know maybe it's a predictable choice, but I stand by it.
No, I think that it's one of the all-time... I think it's the best comic book movie villain.
Yeah. And I feel like Heath Ledger actually kind of managed to portray this villain in a really interesting, original, but also quite to the... I don't know. It just... Everything that he did was the Joker, wasn't he? He was in a really kind of natural, psychotic way, the Joker.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really like it, how he talks and the gestures it did. It is also very unpredictable as a Joker. You had moments where he was like totally like off the chain, and then moments like the moment where they're in the cell and he's just sitting down, like staring through the bars. That's just a beautiful, powerful moment that you just kind of like, oh, is he? Because you never actually believe that he's that evil for what he does, but then he does really evil things.
Yeah.
Like he's so unhinged in everything, and
unhinged, but also he comes out of nowhere. You never know where he's come from, like what produced him. When there's points repeatedly in the movie where he describes how he got his facial scars, and it's always different, and you never know what the true story is. And it's like this unpredictable. I can't remember where I heard this for the first time, but I've heard him once be compared to the shark in Jaws, in terms of just like this monster that just moves through the movie and causes mayhem every time he turns up, and you never know where he's going to come from. And he even has this almost Jaws-like musical theme that follows him through the film as well, like this rising noise that comes in when and it's truly, it's like scary for a comic book movie. He's like a terrifying, and he correctly won an Oscar for the it's great.
He's a brilliant character, and really scary.
Yeah.
And Heath Ledger was incredible at doing it. Just so good. What's your number 2?
Well, so full disclosure, I did originally have Heath Ledger's Joker on my list.
Oh.
But I've removed him. I feel like you've got him covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've kind of, to give a bit more yeah, I don't know, to give a bit more
What,
variety.
you removed him right now?
Yeah, well, a few minutes ago I removed him.
You removed him right now, so we don't have anything in common again. I like when we have things in common.
I know, but I want to talk about a wider range of things. I like.
Fine.
So I've put in at number 2.
Yeah.
One of the movie villains who has truly terrified me to my core, and left me sleepless the first time I saw the movie they're in, is Sadako.
Oh, from the Ringu?
From Ringu.
Ringu, not the Ringu.
From the Ringu.
From Ringu?
From Ringu, yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Sadako.
The iconic haunted girl with the long black hair over her face, and she climbs out of a TV and it's horrible. So the movie's about a cursed videotape, and when you watch it, a voice calls you and does it actually? Or is that in the American? Because I've watched the American remake as well.
That's the American version.
How do you get told that you're going to die in 7 days, or does it just happen? Can't remember. Anyway, if you watch it, you die 7 days later, basically, unless you show the videotape to somebody else. The movie is about a journalist who's trying to get to the bottom of the story and discovers the story of Sadako, and that she was this young girl in this seaside town who had these powers, and she wasn't understood, so eventually she was murdered, and it led to her being this ghost of anger that haunts this tape and kind of kills people. And she's terrifying. She's really scary. And I think the reason I've put her on as a villain is because I also really like, there's Ring 2, and then there's a film called Ring Zero, which is a prequel that tells the story of Sadako and how she became to be. And it's not as good as Ringu or anything like that. But it's a pretty entertaining movie, and taken in total, she is an iconic and terrifying villain. Yeah. So yeah, Sadako. Have you seen Ringu?
I've seen The Ring with Naomi Watts.
Oh yeah, I mean that's great. She's not called Sadako in that; she's got a different name, but kind of basically the same character.
Yeah,
that's one of the few good horror film remakes. I really rate the. The
good. I thought it was terrifying. So
it is. Yeah, well, yeah, it is terrifying. It's different from the Japanese one, but yeah, it's scary stuff. So yeah. Sadako.
Yeah.
In at number 2.
Cool. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it very much. Cool. So let's go to number 1. This movie director had most of my villains, but I chose one.
Interesting.
Of them. Yes. Because I think this movie director creates the best villains, because he creates the most charming and scary villains. And my number 1 is from the film Inglourious Bastards, and is Hans Lander. I think it's called Standartenführer. Hans Lander. Or something like that. Whatever. So he is played by Christopher Waltz. His alias is the Jew Hunter.
Yeah.
I find him pretty terrifying. He is one of I think I like the villain that goes kind of like turns, because you first see him in the film when he goes to this house and he just has this normal conversation with this guy, and he asks him for a glass of milk, and he's just charming and everything, and then he turns and then he becomes the most evil like horrifying, terrible human being ever. And you just go, but you just were drinking a nice glass of milk. Can you not just be that guy? But no, I'm gonna fool you with charm, and then so unpredictability for me is just key for villains in my, like, I don't know, it seems from this list. And I don't know, it's just horrible and terrifying, and every time he's on the in the scene, he's got this smile, but there's something's gonna happen. He's Hans Lander. He's not a nice guy.
That opening sequence where he goes into that house and they're hiding under the floor, and he's just sort of talking very calmly about what does he talk? I can't remember. It's ages since I've seen Inglourious Bastards.
Something about milk, and I don't know. They're in a dairy farm. It's talking about milk.
It's one of those classic Quentin Tarantino things where he manages to make them talking about nothing incredibly captivating.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, a good shout, Christoph Waltz. So he's your favourite Tarantino villain?
Oh, I feel like the most, for me, memorable, and I know exactly the moments that he made me feel vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I can. Yeah, I mean, I'd put who else?
Because I was thinking, I don't know. There's so many though. Because I was thinking about which one is the guy in Pulp Fiction?
Marcellus Wallace.
Yeah, like I had him as well,
Yeah.
but then he turns out, and he's nice guy. He turns out to be a nice guy.
Was
Well,
Mr.
not
Blonde.
necessarily nice guy. Yeah, and then I don't know. And then I was thinking about Django Unchained.
Leonardo
but
DiCaprio in that movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio, who is amazing, but also what? How I've forgotten his name? No, Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah,
He's pretty terrifying in that one as well.
yeah, he is. He is.
I don't know, but if I had to think about like one, I just thought about Hans Lander, because I just feel like he's just so. Also, like, you can't mess around with Hans Lander. He's so intelligent. He knows everything. He knows when you're lying. He knows, like, you can't. He knows, and that's the problem. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, a good shout.
Yeah.
I like it. Hans Lander.
Yeah. Is it not like, does he do the moment about the three in Inglourious Bastards, that he figures out that one of them is lying because he tells like a three with different fingers?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
They do a very good job of
terrifying.
setting him up early on as being extremely competent, so that when he comes head to head with the lady that owns the cinema, you're genuinely terrified for her, because you know that if she makes a single error, he'll be on her, because like you said, you can't mess around with him. So that is pretty amazing.
You can't mess around. Yeah, and that's why I chose him, because, you know, I think Quentin Tarantino creates incredible villains, like amazing. But I feel like this one was the most probably competent.
Yeah. What about Bill?
Like Bill is in my Bill is on my honorable list, honorable mentions, because I love Bill. And also, Bill is like, you see him so little in the film, but he's omnipresent.
Yeah,
is omnipresent, and you go, oh yeah. But it could have been a list of Quentin Tarantino villains. Maybe we should do that as well.
Yeah, we could do.
But then we know Hans Lander is my favorite.
Yeah.
But then maybe there'll be a new Tarantino film coming out. I don't know.
Maybe. For me, there's definitely something about Leonardo DiCaprio and Django Unchained that's just not competent, but really horrible. Like, he's just horrible in that movie.
Yeah.
But you are probably right. It's probably Hans Lander at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, good choice.
In my opinion, you know. Yeah. How about you? What's your number one?
My number one is from a sci-fi movie.
Ooh.
Science fiction movie. A character played by Rutger Hauer.
Good choice, baby.
Yeah, it is Roy Batty from the movie Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner is one of my favourite movies. I adore Blade Runner. The story of Deckard, a Blade Runner who hunts, what do they call them in the movies? What are they called? Androids?
No.
Replicants,
yes.
Yeah. He has to hunt down replicants, and a group of replicants that escaped from a mining colony or something and are hiding out on Earth, and the leader of them is Roy Batty, played by Rutger Hauer. And basically this all comes down to the scene where Roy Batty is defeated and knows he's going to die, and delivers the best monologue in the history of cinema. I think it even has its own Wikipedia page. I think that's how iconic it is. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna read it out, and it's gonna be rubbish because I'm not Rutger Hauer, but I'm just gonna. This is what I'm talking about.
Channel your Rutger Hauer.
And Rutger Hauer kind of like helped to write it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to die. I love it. I love it. And it says there on Wikipedia, like the original script before Rutger Hauer rewrote any of it was, I've seen things you little people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion, bright as magnesium. I rode on the back decks of a blinker and watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments, they'll be gone.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's no... All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Like tears in rain.
No, that's amazing. And also, I feel bad for him because, like, in the end, he's a villain, but not really. Like, he just didn't want to die.
Yeah, exactly. He just wanted to have a chance to live.
For longer. Like, yeah. So, in a way, he's one of those villains that is... You feel bad for.
Yeah, completely. I think that's why I love him so much, is that he's just... Like, I guess he does bad things in the movie, but it's all in service of just trying to have his own life and just try to live.
Absolutely.
And he's, in his very conception, he's been made essentially, a servant. He's not allowed his own life at all. And the fight scene between him and Harrison Ford is really good, and the whole movie is incredible. But Rutger Hauer was an amazing actor, but he'll always be kind of most well known for Roy Batty, and it's genuinely comes down to that speech at the end, which is just purely gorgeous and beautiful. And like the fact that Rutger Hauer wrote the tears in rain part is incredible to me. So yeah, he's my number one movie villain of all time. Not
Great
even a
choice.
villain, but I give it up for him.
It is kind of a villain, but then he turns out not to be that much of a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go through your top five?
Yeah. So my number 5 is Bricktop from the movie Snatch.
Nice.
My number 4 is Annie Wilkes from the movie Misery. My number 3 is Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. My number 2 is the Joker from Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. And my number 1 is Hans Lander from Inglourious Basterds.
Awesome. My top 5 was Gollum from The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. My number 4 was Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th films. My number 3 was Frank Booth from Blue Velvet. Number 2 was Sadako from Ringu. And my number 1 is Roy Batty from Blade Runner.
Excellento. So,
yes, please.
Let's go for honorable mentions.
Some honorable mentions, yeah.
Okay, so Regina George from Mean Girls, amazing villain. I love her. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Calvin Candy from Django Unchained. The Sheriff of Nottingham, Robin Hood, played by who?
Alan Rickman.
Voldemort, Harry Potter, Sauron, Lord of the Rings, Captain Vidal, Pan's Labyrinth. He's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
He's an
yes,
ass
that's a great
bag.
choice.
He doesn't do anything. He's just so scary though. Miss Carmody from The Mist, Eamon Goeth from Schindler's List. Terrifying guy. Played by Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph Fiennes. I've never seen Schindler's List.
Oh, wow. You should watch it, and that is a good movie villain. What terrifying. I hate him. Never mind. Bill from Kill Bill. Thanos from Marvel Cinematic Universe.
From the MCU, yeah.
From the MCU. Bill Dan Ting from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Do you remember him? Played by John Goodman.
John Goodman, yeah.
Terrifying
great
character.
shout.
Terrifying character. And Bane from The Dark Knight Rises. Amazing villain.
Good shouts all around. I like it. So my honourable mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I've got a handful that I want to talk about very briefly, and then I'm just going to go through a list without saying much other than naming them. But the top of my honourable mentions is Hannibal Lecter, because he would have been my top 5 if I hadn't already had Silence of the Lambs a couple of weeks ago. Annie Wilkes, of course.
Yeah.
Hans Gruber, again, would have been in my top 5. We're not, Elliot Carver is my favourite Bond villain, played by Jonathan Pryce from the... played by Jonathan Pryce, amazingly. Feels pretty relevant for today. In Tomorrow Never Dies, Elliot Carver is a evil media mogul who wants to use the news to manipulate the world.
Oh.
Yeah. Damien Fawn from the Omen movies. Oh, terrifying little boy. Thanos, you've just mentioned him, but I really do think Thanos is like
amazing.
They very easily could have had those Avengers Endgame and Infinity War movies have a villain that's sort of just there to allow the Avengers to fight him, but they really put effort into like having Thanos be a relatable villain. And it works. It's amazing. Rose the Hat from the Doctor Sleep, the Shining sequel, played by Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
One of my favourite recent movie villains. She's just chewing the scenery, and it's wonderful to watch in that movie. She's so good. Michael Myers, Halloween, and then Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, Nurse Ratched.
Yeah.
She's
probably the most human of movie villains. Like, she's so banal in her evil, if you see what I mean. Like, just doing her job, but just being awful with it. She's horrible. And then I'm just going to run through these a bit more quickly. Dr. Octopus, Leatherface, Blofeld, Norman Bates, Darth Vader, Jack Torrance, Goldfinger, Lord Summer Isle, Pennywise, Mr. Blonde, Killmonger, Ghostface, The Wet Bandits, Freddy Krueger, T-1000, Agent Smith, Palpatine, Sauron, Voldemort, The Babadook, Candyman, Castle Freak, Pazuzu, Gozer the Gozerian, and the killer from The Vanishing. Yeah,
cool. Good lists all round, man.
Yeah, so homework.
Homework. You've watched everything, haven't you?
Yeah.
Of the films of my honorable mentions, which you haven't watched Schindler's List.
Am I going to have to watch Schindler's List this week?
Well, I don't think you can watch anything else, can you?
Oh.
You've watched all of them.
For you,
yeah,
I guess.
No.
Well, I thought it was going to be Blue Velvet because you always go on about how you've never seen any David Lynch movies, and then all of a sudden transpires that you're a liar. So
oh, I didn't realise that was David Lynch. I can watch it again.
Yeah.
Because then I don't have to watch the guy in the hockey mask.
I think so. You're going to have to watch Friday the 13th.
Oh.
Part
what?
4.
That is insane. What? Okay.
The one that Crispin Glover is in. I'll send you the title and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's part 4. I think that's the best one.
Okay.
Should I
and
you can't watch the first one because it doesn't. Sorry?
Should I not watch the first one?
No, because how can you watch the first one?
I don't know.
Jason isn't in it.
Okay, sorry.
You didn't. I explained the deep, complex mythology behind the Friday the 13th
No,
series
you did.
earlier,
You did.
and you didn't listen.
I did listen. I'm just confused. Okay.
Right. That's our top 5 villains, guys,
Beautiful.
girls. And,
if you had anything to recommend from your culture catch-up this week, what would it be?
It would be the Human Centipede. No, it would be. Listen to OK Human by Weezer and watch Prevenge. Watch Prevenge. That's my recommendation. Prevenge.
Cool.
Incredible masterpiece of a film.
Nice.
Prevenge, Alice Lowe. What about you?
I would recommend the French film The Intouchables or Untouchables, one of the two. And, if you fancy some like light entertainment, RuPaul's Drag Race USA or UK. They're pretty good.
Right, so thank you so much for joining us. Next week we're going to talk our top 5. We're going to swing all the way from villains to something else that's filled with villains but is a bit more lighthearted. Our top 5 Disney animation classics. Yeah, those are it started with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs all the way back in the 40s or earlier. When was that film? I think it was the 40s. up to the most recent Disney classic is Frozen 2, maybe. Is it Frozen 2? So we'll be doing our top 5 of those, which will be wonderful. And we'll also be discussing Schindler's List, so something for everyone.
and whatever I'm watching.
The Friday the 13th part 4. That's ridiculous. We can't, in the same 15-minute span, discuss Schindler's List and Friday the 13th part 4.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
But, yeah, we will. Right. Please come and find us on social media. We've got links to all our social media in the show notes for today, along with links to all the things we discussed in Culture Catch-Up. So go and have a look at those. Join us on social media. Send us your top 5s. We want to hear them. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and everywhere else you can review podcasts. We would super appreciate it. And yeah, we love you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Bye.